If you've bought a box of PG Tips recently, you may have noticed this. Your reaction may have been to laugh, or to exclaim, "How awesome, I will never buy any other brand of tea ever again." However, my reaction was somewhat more skeptical, which is why today I will be reviewing whether this marketing ploy is actually any good. Part 1. The effectiveness of the conceit. What do I mean by this? Well, does the idea make sense? Is it consistent? Unfortunately, no. Let's look at what the idea actually is. Each suggestion is some kind of idiom or well-known phrase that could be related to brewing tea. This is not actually a bad start. In fact, I think it's a reasonably good idea. Except not all of them are actually known phrases. Cause a stir, slam dunk, milk it and tight squeeze are all unchanged idioms. But dip and dash? Don't they mean splash and dash? Was everyone in the marketing department just asleep? Or did they think splash and dash was just too violent, that it might encourage your average OAPs to launch their tea bags into the mug without restraint, ejecting dangerous amounts of boiling hot tea towards fragile and unprepared old people? And it doesn't even end there. One mistake out of 6 is acceptable, but then there's stew the brew. That's not a saying. And unlike dip and dash, it's not even partly a saying. But you see, these issues are just the start. 5 of the 6 idioms that aren't actually even all idioms refer to what you do with the tea bag. But milk it references how much milk you should add, which would certainly make sense by itself, but in the context of this marketing scheme, it doesn't make sense. Part 2, a practical test. This is where I will go through and actually review these techniques and see what effect they have on brewing tea. Milk it. What do you know? Very milky. Maybe that's your thing? It's not really for me. I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 tea bags. Dip and dash. This one is ridiculous. As you can see, the tea has no time to steep in the water, and so you're just left with hot water and milk. It's not even tea. 0 out of 5. Cause a stir. Now this one isn't too bad, as you create a reasonably strong brew. However, there is a risk of stirring too vigorously and creating a disproportionate ratio of tea inside the mug and tea outside. 3 out of 5. Stew the brew sounds good initially, however if you look at the time you would take to actually create a real stew, it's a couple of hours, and this is too long to let a tea bag steep. By the time I came back, mine had a wife, 2 kids and was ranting about how life had no meaning. 1 out of 5. Tight squeeze actually works. This isn't too far away from what I already do. Usually I'd do this more than once, but to be fair, you can hold the squeeze for a while and still get good results. 5 out of 5. Then we come to slam dunk, and this one is alright. It's actually just putting the tea bag into the mug with a bit more enthusiasm than usual. You might get a bit of splashback, but otherwise it's not too bad. 4 out of 5. Part 3. In conclusion. So in summary, this marketing scheme has a nice idea, but the execution is frankly lazy and could be much more consistent. Also, the suggestions don't seem to be very helpful if you actually did take them on board. But if you're thinking, Mike, they're not meant to be taken seriously, then what's the point of them at all? They may as well have just written "We don't give a shit about our marketing department" on the lid in impact font. But otherwise, the tea itself tastes okay. Though now that I think about it, it does actually taste a little bit odd. Not sure why. Hang on. Decaf? Decaf? Decaf?